To those who are in our Zoom call, good morning. To those of you that are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, wherever you're joining us from, welcome, welcome, and good morning. Good morning. It's an exciting day for us here. It's early June. Summer is right around the corner. Super excited for that. Always looking forward to summer. When you have enough summer, you're looking forward to winter. But when you've had enough winter, you're looking forward to summer. And I can definitely say that I am now looking forward to the summer experience. So, Rebecca, how about you? Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes, I'm really glad that we're here. It's a great start to the week. Beautiful morning. Got my walk in this morning, so ready for the week, and it was a good weekend. So
Yes, indeed. It was an amazing weekend. I think you and I both got a lot done this weekend, which is always exciting. Had a chance to go spend some time with family and eat some dinner with family. That's always exciting. So thank you for that. All right. So Rebecca, it is right on 6:30 and you have a very exciting topic to bring to the table today. What's the topic that you brought to Monday Mind Shift?
so our topic this morning is going from control freak to delegator. Being able to delegate things that we can do, but that we can allow someone else to do.
Hmm. Yeah. So what made you want to bring that to the table today?
Because I think it's something that a lot of us struggle with. I think a lot of these topics that we talk about are just things that people go through um, on a day-to-day basis. And I think this is a big one. I know this is something that I sometimes have a hard time with getting better at, learning to not be such a control freak. Um, and I'm going to assume I'm not the only one.
Well, how do you define yourself? You define yourself as a control freak. What does that mean? Help us understand how you're seeing that.
I guess for me, if there's tasks that need to be done, um, knowing that there's a certain way that I like them to be done, but figuring out that there is another way to maybe get to the end goal that may be different from what I'm doing it or how I'm doing it, that somebody else does possibly better or more efficient. But for me to let go of that and have someone else do it is pretty difficult.
Hmm.
Even I think back to like you loading the dishwasher. Um, Instead of me being thankful that you loaded the dishwasher, I would go back in and rearrange them on on the way that they should go in the dishwasher. But it's little things like that in business and home, everything. It's it's all part of life, but it's just learning that other people can help you. Maybe something that takes me 6 hours because I want to be able to do it would take somebody else an hour to do it. Learning who that is that you can delegate those to, but also just learning to kind of let go a little bit.
Yeah, and here's the challenge. We can stick on the dishwasher thing for a little bit because it does make a whole lot of sense. After so many times of you redoing it, I stopped doing it, right? And that's the one thing that you'll see in the business space. You'll see that everywhere in life is if you're micromanaging, if you're controlling everything, next thing you know, your team will quit on you and they'll just let you do it. They won't say anything. They won't say anything. They'll just let you do it. And they'll just back away and they'll just quit doing that work because obviously they're feeling like they're insufficient. And
Right.
those are things that we see all the time in the business world is people that are with good intention trying to just do the work as best they can for the customer. And there's always that element that says, I've got to do this right for the customer. And those are things that we see in the business world to make things really, really challenging for businesses to continue to thrive and grow and be successful.
Well, and I know part of the thing is, you've got to lead people through that. So when you do delegate and turn something over to someone, it's not going to take off right away, but you have to lead them through it and help them as they're going through it. Show them, okay, well, you got this far and maybe this happened. So I'm going to help you through this so you can go the rest of the way. And I think that's hard. You're just kind of sitting back there and you're just kind of, don't, oh, yeah, don't do that. But it's funny. One of the things that we do during some of our training is we have a team building exercise that we do. And we make it so someone who is heavily in charge, they describe the project to someone else, and then that person has to tell the builders how to do it. But the one that's always in charge can't talk to the builders. They have to stay out of the picture. But then the project manager who's talking to the builders, he has to tell them, how to build it. And it may not be the same way that the supervising manager wanted it built. But so they have to stand back and watch this. And one that we did not too long ago, it was so funny to watch the guy that was in charge all the time watching these guys build this, because they weren't doing it the way that he thought that it needed to be done. And just, I mean, he was biting his tongue. He was stressed. He was pacing. And it was very stressful not being able to communicate that and take over that. But in the end, the project came to fruition of what they thought. It was just maybe a different route. And that's something that's hard to see, is maybe there's two ways to get to the end goal.
Yeah, and that brings up some really great points, Rebecca, because when you think about delegation, a control freak to delegation, to being a person who has to always do it a specific way and to be able to do things in to achieve a specific outcome, you have to understand that there is a process that people will have to go through. And one of the things I know that I'm learning right now in my own personal life, in the work that I'm doing, excuse me, is there's an element there where a leader has to be ready to transition responsibility. You have to be ready to transition that delegation, because there's nothing more frustrating for someone in an organization than to be given responsibility without having been given the freedom to do it, without having been given the pathway, or at least some guidance and instruction, especially if it's something that they've never done before. If it's a project that's never been done before, there's no processes typically, which means anybody can really take it over. And sometimes it's nothing but sheer arrogance, if you will, or ego that can actually get in our way if we think that because no one in our team has ever done this before. It has to be done by me. It has to be me that does it. That's not necessarily the case. The best thing that a leader can do is make sure that the right person is doing it. The right person is figuring out the pathway. If it's something that has been done before and there's experience that's coming to the table, the experience is a positive thing. That experience needs to be documented, written down. That documentation can be used to help someone take on a role, to help in the delegation process. It can be given to someone so that they can be encouraged with that a little bit. So that's something that as a leader we need to really think into. Take some time to think into those processes of transition. And remember that a lot of times we get in our own way. And that's one of the places we make mistakes. We need to be able to encourage, equip, and help assist other people when we delegate a task, we delegate a project, when we delegate something to someone, be available to assist, but not to control, not to micromanage it, not to be there to make sure everything goes exactly your way. Remember, you're shooting for an outcome, you're shooting for a result. And the thing that I've learned in the years of working in business, I had one goal in mind when I was trying to develop people. I wanted everybody that I could work with to be better than me. Now, what did I mean by that? It doesn't mean that I'm great, that I'm perfect in everything that I'm doing. It means that I have a skill set, that I have experience, that I've been able to accomplish something in my life. And I need to be able to give as much of that as I can to someone else, and then when they enhance their skill set, they tie in what I can help them with and tie that into what they are really good at. By default, that person will be better than me. If I can give them 100% of me and they can take 100% of who they are, they may not do everything that I do great, but they can do everything that I do at a good level and tie that into their greatness. They can be really amazing. So there's an element there that as a leader, that's our objective. That is our objective, to help other people be better than us. And that's a struggle for a lot of people in business today because they feel like, well, what if that person takes my job? Well, the way I look at it is every great leader in the industry should be looking for a new job, right? You should be looking to move up. You should be looking for creating a new opportunity for yourself. That means equipping everybody on your team to be better than you so one of them can take your job, freeing you up to move to the next level. But that is something that is hard for people sometimes to grasp or to get their heads wrapped around, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think there's just there's so many areas of this that we can work on. It may not just be delegating to an employee, or there's how long did I spend on trying to do marketing when we first started our business? And what I should have done is delegated it out to somebody who knew what they were doing, because we talked about building the website. It took me hours and hours and hours to work on that website. Time, frustration, tears, when I just ended up delegating it out to someone. They did it in a couple hours, and it freed up my time to go do things that I was good at. And I think sometimes that we I guess take too much into that we need to make sure it's done, so it's done right. And in that aspect, like in my situation, it was getting done, but it wasn't getting done right.
No, that's exactly right. And I'm the same way. You and I do a lot with the DISC and personality and behavior assessments, and we understand that certain people do things in a certain way, and those are things that we really need to get our heads wrapped around and get a grasp on, is the fact that understanding how other people are connecting, whether it be in family, whether it be in the workplace, whether it be no matter where it is in life, we want to be able to understand that the transition of responsibility to another person is an opportunity for that person, right? That's what I really have learned is if I can delegate an opportunity, a responsibility to someone, it's an opportunity for that person. And even within our family household, right? I mean, when we were raising kids, that's really what you wanted to really focus on is the development of a child into an adult, right? And if we're raising adults, not just raising kids, we're looking at our children from a different perspective. We're raising adults, which means we're going to give them adult responsibilities in a way that is healthy for them, that is good for them, that develops them and grows them. And that's a great place to to work on and practice our own delegation actions and processes. It's a way for us to grow and develop people inside of our own families. Which who doesn't want to have a great family, right? Who doesn't want to have great people in their family that want to have successful children, right? We all want to be there. So what are some of the things that we can do to be really successful in those environments? It's one of the things I look at anyway. So, well, what about we got about 15 minutes. What about some of our audience members today? I know we've lost one already off of Zoom, but we've got a couple on here that are faithful in here every week. Um, what about our Zoom audience? You guys have some thoughts on this idea of delegating? Be great to hear from you.
Yeah, Kylan, it's a great idea. It's not something that I'm good at, but it's interesting, Rebecca, your dishwasher experience, because I'm a master Tetris player, and packing a dishwasher can only be done one way. And but I don't generally tell people they've done it wrong. I just quietly go and do it later. I'll just go and restack it. So that's probably my bad, because then nobody learns, and so I'm doing all the work anyway. I used to work for a guy who was a micromanager, and I pretty quickly got really good at managing upwards. And so whenever he would call to give me tasks, I would give him more tasks back again. Hey, can you just do this? Have you done that? And very quickly he got very good at not calling me because I was giving him work. So that's how to get people off your back. As far as doing it the other way and letting people go about their tasks, probably the best way I can describe that is teaching kids how to drive. Is you can't do it for them. You got to put them in the driver's seat, and you got to trust them. And so it's not like you can really step in. And if you do try and drive from the passenger seat with lots of directions, then you're more likely to have an accident. So you've got to try and course correct afterwards and hopefully not have any accidents. So, hey, did you realize that you should have done this and not that? But one thing about the only good take-home message here is that you do have to let people know when they're getting it wrong. Otherwise, they won't know what's right, and they will. It's that mentoring aspect. But it is hard to. I started out by saying I'm not very good at it, because I would rather teaching someone slows you down, and I'd rather just get on and get things done. And so, it's hard to do, to say, to actually put somebody in charge and make them do it, rather than just say, hey, watch me and try and keep up, because that tends to be my style. So I know the only way of actually teaching someone is for them to do it. And especially when it comes to a technical task, you've got to not reach into your own tool bag, like literally. You've got to make sure they have the tools to do the task. And because if you're not working out of there, set of tools, you won't know what they're missing. So, yeah, but I have found that it does slow you down, and when you don't have a whole lot of time, it's hard to do.
That's an interesting take on that, David. It can slow you down, but one of the things we have to remember is it's the only way to create multiplication in your life. In fact, one of the leaders that I was mentoring with, he made the comment that if I go into the marketplace, if I go into the workplace and I add value to a customer, that's really exciting. That's really good because I can add value to a customer. But if I invest the time to develop 10 people to add value to the customer, now I have multiplied at that level. And does it take time? Absolutely, it takes time. Does it take a lot of energy? Absolutely, it takes energy. But there's a mindset around multiplication of your efforts versus addition of your efforts. If we're adding
Right.
value to people, that's great. But if we're multiplying value to people through others, that's even better. And that was a big learn for me. I think you would totally agree with that. Um, the importance of taking the time to invest in people. One thing you mentioned there is making sure that it's done right and letting people know when they're not, and that is part of that time consuming element. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've actually found that sometimes people have a better way. My way is not always the most effective, but having
Yeah.
built software and always done it a certain way and expecting people to do it use it a certain way, I've found that there are many different ways, many different paths, and some of them are actually better. So, man, I didn't see that.
Yep.
It's like, wow, you get to this in fewer clicks, or you kind of view it differently to me. And so I've learned a lot too. And so letting people work it out can be really beneficial as well. But I totally get the multiplication deal, but it's hard to find good people, and it can be frustrating when people you teach them once and they don't pick it up, and you teach them again and they still don't get it. So for the third or fourth time, that gets really frustrating. And it's like, I thought we'd gone over this. And so yeah, it is hard. I guess also when you look at where I am in my career versus teaching somebody who's just starting out or something like that, you have to expect them to not, they've got to develop the skills, but it's a whole lot easier if you find the right people.
Hmm. Rebecca, you have any thoughts on David's comments?
Oh, a couple of them. You know, Dave, back to the whole dishwasher scenario. It's one of those things that, I did go back in and move Kylan's stuff around, but had I not, they still would have gotten clean. So, I mean,
I
that was,
dispute that with some of the dishwasher packing practices in my house. They'll come out dirty. It's like, then I will definitely mentor people and say, hey, this is what you get when you don't put it in correctly. But anyway, small things.
well, I know, so one of our old coaching clients, we had to make a list of everything that they do during the week. I mean, everything. And one of the lists there was 140 items on there. And probably, I'm going to say 35 of the items off of that list somebody else could have done. And the thing that was hard for them to see, sometimes, and I'm going to say this as a mother, as a parent, it's just easier to go, I'll just do it. I'll get it done. It'll take 2 minutes. Go pick up your toys. And, they go over and they pick up one toy and then they walk over and put it in the basket. And then you go, okay, I can't do this. We got to leave in 10 minutes here. Throw it in there, throw it in there, throw it in there. You're done. And I think we see that sometimes with maybe employees or other people is, okay, that's something that should take 15 minutes and it's taking you an hour and a half. I'll just do it myself. Um, we'll get it done in 10 minutes and then we'll be good to go. So they're not learning anything, same as a child. The child is learning, hey, if I take long enough, mom's going to go ahead and do it. And so they're not being led to do it. And that's where the whole thing in like sales training of asking questions. So what could you have done differently? What could have prompted this or that? But it's hard to sit back and watch that sometimes, when we're and I'm sure you guys have seen this when you're out in the field putting in probes or things like that, and somebody else is doing it and they're taking maybe 15, 20 minutes longer than it probably should take. And you're over there biting the bit and going, oh, if they'd just done this. But that's where that guidance and that leading comes in. So when you do delegate, I mean, it's not like you're just saying, okay, I'm done with this part. You're going to do this part. Go. You've got to take the reins. You've got to lead them. You've got to teach them. You've got to train them and do it in a way that they're learning, that you're not just telling them, but they are learning as they go. And it's sometimes it's hard. It's hard to sit back and, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that they do, like you said, wrong, but taking that and using it as a learning tool. Maybe it is something that should take a half an hour to do, but it took them an hour and a half. But then the next time it took them an hour and 15, and the next time it was an hour. And as long
Sometimes
as
they do
you're
it better than
progressing,
you as well. So
what's that?
sometimes they do it better than you, and you learn from them.
Yeah.
Not always.
Well, and it's interesting that you guys are talking about that element of the different processes of delegation, the different processes of giving up and giving up to go up and different things of that nature that behind the scenes, that's really what you guys were talking about. The one thing that I would hang on, two things actually. One was that David, made the comment that, I tell them once, tell them twice, tell them three times, we're not getting it. We're not getting it picked up. We're not getting that, understood. The thing that I'm starting to realize in the marketplace today is it's getting more and more challenging. It seems like to really understand learning styles of different people, especially as we're working in a generation that's never understood a time without technology. The 20 and some of even the 30-year olds today, they don't remember a time without the technology, without the ability to use these tools and these resources. And we were talking about it yesterday, Rebecca, where um, people don't use dictionaries. They're not using encyclopedias. What has replaced the dictionary and the encyclopedia? Well, Google, right? Instant access to information, to the information that we need. So it doesn't require us to go in and do a lot of the action, the work of walking to a bookshelf and pulling off the right encyclopedia, searching for the right content. There was a lot of work that went into the way we used to have to learn. So today we're learning at a different level, at a different rate. And not that it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad at all. I absolutely love to be able to research and find information fast. But it's definitely changed how I learn. It's changed how I expect to learn. And those are things that we as leaders have to really pay attention to because it is going to be a totally different learning style than what we learned with. And
Well,
that is huge.
you look at it, and I'm not going to say way back in our day, but I guess I look at mechanics um, now, but way back when you had to read a book, and you had to read a book on all the parts, and you had to read a book where the parts go, and you studied for hours on how to fix something maybe minute on your vehicle. Now you just pull up a YouTube video. You just pull up a YouTube video, it takes you 10 minutes, change it out, and you're good to go. And so it is a lot different. It's a lot different, you know, like David said, maybe they know how to do something better than we did because we learned it this way. We learned how to do it this way. Their way is our way on steroids. And I do have to read. We had Raylan, who is on our Facebook. Good morning, Raylan. She said delegating projects helps create trust in the team too. Knowing you've got a team around you that can work together towards a common goal is awesome. And there's a lot of truth to that.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, sometimes we have to weed through the people, the team, but and we also have to be careful when we're delegating. I think this is a big thing because if you are giving a task to someone who is, I don't want to say it's not their gift, but it's not their understanding. If you're delegating a task to them to do, and that is not their strength, and they're going to struggle with it, that is something that you also have to recognize in your team. We do a lot. We're getting ready to do a training in June or this month with a team because they are looking at their team's strengths and weaknesses. Do they have the people in the position where they should be? Or have we put them in a position that that's not the area of their working genius? That's not the area of their strength. And so when we do delegate, I think we have to be very conscious of what we are delegating and to who, especially in business. That's not so much at home. We can delegate. I can delegate laundry to Kylan because I know he can do it. It's possible. It could happen. But he would be kind of like Oliver picking up his toys. Maybe take him a little longer, but it would be okay. It would get done. But in business and the business world, I do think we have to be very conscious of what projects we are delegating to who, making sure that they are, there are some things that people are going to have to do that maybe they don't care to do. Maybe it's just something that they don't like. And unfortunately, that does happen. But if you're sticking somebody in a numbers position that has to do tax stuff or payroll or things like that, who is not good with numbers, that's an issue. I mean, that's a problem. So when we do delegate, we have to make sure that we are delegating the right things to the right people.
Oh, there's so much truth to that because you're gonna either create a drain with people or you're going to encourage them and inspire them. You're going to strengthen them by giving them responsibility. But boy, if it's the wrong responsibility, it'll drain them. It'll
Yeah,
absolutely destroy them. And we've seen that happen also. Well, Rebecca, this has been a great conversation. We're after the top of the hour. I know that you are just a little promotion for 3i and the work that you're doing. I believe you're working on another mastermind. Is that
I
correct?
am. Hopefully going to finish that up today. Um, I'm working not in my strength area of figuring out the back end of Kajabi, but I'm getting closer. Um, but I've got a new mastermind coming out. Like I said, I'm hoping to have it done today. It will be on the book Developing the Leader Within 2.0. And we all have a leader inside of us working on bringing that out. So hopefully, like I said, have that done today and get that sent out. And then we will probably be promoting 3 or 4 more as soon as we can get them all set up.
That's awesome. Well, I know I've gotten some great feedback from the work that you've done on the first ones that you and Britt did, and I think that's awesome. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you're continuing to do forward there. So everyone, pay attention to your emails. Pay attention to what's coming out on Facebook and social media. Rebecca is going to have some really great content coming out for each of you as you move forward. So great opportunities there. So, Rebecca, you have anything in wrap up for us as we're wrapping up the morning here?
Not a whole lot, just, when it comes to delegation, just, you need to take a little bit off of your plate if you can to focus on maybe some things that another area that you need to grow in, and think about who that can go to, who can help you with that. Um, yeah.
Yep. And I might close on my end with this. Think about the things that only you can do. Um, think about the things that you simply cannot hand off to someone else. It's a task that only you can do. And when you realize how few tasks are out there that absolutely require you, you will all of a sudden start learning and identifying opportunities to give that opportunity to someone else. And that's what you want to think about. You're not just handing off a task. You're not handing off something that's drudgery for someone. You want to be thinking about opportunity, and that's really what you're creating. You're creating when someone takes on a project, when someone takes on a process, or they take on a task. It really is an opportunity for them to grow, to develop, and become someone better than what they were before. So that's really what you want to think about as a leader, as you're giving things to others. It is opportunity, not just a dishing off of your tasks, if you will. So that's what I would share for you. Thank you, everyone, for participating and being a part of this. Rebecca has got some really cool content. She showing me some of the things yesterday that she has coming down the line for Monday Mind Shift. And it really is a shift in how we bring our thinking to the table, a shift in how we see the world around us. So invite your friends, invite people onto our Zoom meetings, invite people to Facebook, invite them to be here. These don't cost anything. They're totally free to participate in each Monday morning. So jump in, join us, watch the videos, and be a part. Be a part of shifting your life to the next level each and every Monday. All right, my friends, God bless. Make it awesome. We'll see you here next week.